guys, welcome back to another video. So today I'm going to be talking about my occupational therapy assistant journey. I'm going to turn the camera towards me because apparently I've been told that VoiceOver sees a laptop and that's creepy. I'm using an iPhone 6s with VoiceOver iOS 13 point something, and apparently it sees my laptop, which that's creepy because it's over there on my desk. So I'm going to turn the camera towards me. This is awkward. I don't normally do this. There we go. Okay. So Beacon was sitting next to me and now she's on the floor. Sleeping, almost. So yeah, so I wanted to make this video to tell you a little about my journey so far. We're like, let's see, 4.5 months into the program, and so far it's been challenging. Really one of the hardest parts is the understanding of the occupational therapy field with disability. So like, they don't, I don't want to say they don't try, because they do try to understand, but sometimes the occupational therapy field, like my professors, for example, they don't seem to get that, like, the basic concepts of blindness. So, like, for example, they don't understand what a screen reader can and can't do. They don't understand audio description or what that even is, or simple things like how I pick up a dog's poop. You know, like, you just feel it, you pick it up, it's not that hard. And it surprises me because, like, these people are professionals in the field of rehabilitation, but blindness and visual impairment is not something that's talked about very much. It's just sort of like, oh, you just use large print, or you just use magnifiers, stuff like that, and, like, they don't really consider the function of people who are more blind than those who have low vision. So, like, for instance, I use Braille, and like, they don't even have a basic understanding of the Braille technologies used. And I mean, that's part of my goal to be an OT now that I know that. I want to be one of those people in the field that's like, yes, I know what Braille technology is. Yes, I know what different technologies are used for people who are deaf, or sign language interpretation. I want to know, like, all this stuff, because how can I be a qualified occupational therapy assistant if I don't understand rehabilitation? I'm not criticizing anyone for their lack of knowledge. It just surprises me, because going into this, you're always told by other people that, oh, it's about rehabilitation, but I understand it's not specific, but I feel like there should be a wider knowledge by the OT field about blindness and visual impairment. And also another thing too that I've discovered, so I need medical equipment for my clinicals, which are in the spring, summer, and next fall. I don't know my limitations on videoing next fall because we have HIPAA regulations and stuff, so we can't always film where we are, so I don't know if I'm allowed to do that. But I'm going to try to film some relevant stuff if I can. Anyway, so we need medical equipment, and so I have a thermometer that talks. Got that from the Braille bookstore. That was like $13. And then I have a tactile drawing board, which I went over previously in one of my other videos. So that would be good for, like, diagrams and stuff. And the thermometer, obviously, for, taking temperatures. So then we go into vitals. The problem with vitals is that most of the equipment that's made for the blind is meant to be used as standalone devices, and they're meant to be, like, in one place. So I need a portable blood pressure cuff with an earphone jack, because, if I'm in a clinic, I'm taking someone's blood pressure, I don't want the world to hear. So the one, like, I bought two, because I have one from Voc Rehab they got me, and then one that I got myself. The problem is, it's portable, it has the cuff that goes above the elbow, all that good stuff. But the problem is it's so loud that, like, everyone can hear it, and it would violate HIPAA regulations. So, gotta find one with an earphone jack. But the problem is, those aren't made for they're not made for medical use, they're more made for personal use. So you can have them at your house, they're made for, like, memory and stuff, and you just, like, leave it in one particular spot. Beacon's joining me on her bed now. Hi, Beak. She's curled up, asleep. We're gonna be asleep. Anyway, yeah, so I'm trying to find a blood pressure cuff with an earphone jack that is not a wrist cuff, excuse me, because the wrist cuff is not always recommended for clinics, and as an OTA student, I can't just decide I'm going to get this one and everybody else gets the other one. So I have to have accessible equipment. Another thing is goniometers, which are like, how do I explain it? So it's kind of like a protractor. It's like a round thing with like degree markings on it, and there's like an arrow. There's 2 arrows. I haven't seen it in a while, but basically you're gonna measure angles of joints. And the problem is, well, we thought they had a talking one, but it turns out they don't. So that's disappointing. So basically you're gonna use it to measure the range of motion of their joints. So we thought about adapting one by using Braille, but the problem is when you get smaller joints like the fingers or the toes, that's going to be difficult to do using a Braille goniometer, which they don't make. I'd have to make myself because it's so tiny, and Braille is like tiny anyway. I mean, it's bigger than print, obviously. Yeah, so that's the problem. But hopefully we will figure that out, and I will totally post a video once we get that adapted. We just had so many other things this semester to do that we haven't even thought about it. So then we have that one. What else? What else do we have? Sorry, I'm trying to think. There's something else. Oh yeah. So the stethoscope. That's pretty easy. You just go by this sound. However, blood pressure cuffs do the same thing. Like the ones that I have, at least, they will measure the heart rate, pulse, same thing, breathing rate, all that stuff. And I could also put my hand on their shoulder to measure their breaths per minute. So I could always do that. There's alternatives. It's just sometimes they're not easy to figure out. So we had that. For my pathology class, we basically have just been, I've obviously gotten all my books in Word format or PDF. My PowerPoints are in PDF or Word. And I have a tutor for one of my classes. I'll get to that in a minute. But the pathology class, it's all the book. Diagrams are either raised for me, I can draw them, or we get models from anatomy that I used last year. I really wish I could film those. Those are cool. Thank you very much to the anatomy professors who let me borrow those. And then also, what else? Well, we've used like very large skeletons, Braille stickers, labels, stuff like that we used last year for anatomy. We've also used voiceover on different phones to do some stuff, like we had to do the simulation about like hearing distressing voices and simulations of schizophrenia. So we had to watch a video, or no, it was like an audio track we had to listen to and walk around and do things. So I had a guide for that, because walking around while being distracted would be very inconvenient. And also I used voiceover to control the video / audio track. What else? Of course, my brown note's been very helpful. I use it to take notes in class and also read my textbooks, all that good stuff. Splinting class, let me get to that one. So we have an orthotics class. Basically, it's where we learn how to create and maintain different types of splints or orthotics, and we also learn how to a little bit about prosthetics, so prosthetic legs and stuff like that. By the way, that was really cool. We got to like touch prosthetic legs, and that was so awesome. But yeah, so splinting is difficult. Cutting and rounding the edges of things is not easy for me as a blind person. I didn't have a lot of experience with that as a child. So, getting that important first-time experience as a child is like amazing. So they need to get that. Because I don't have those foundational skills like how to round corners. So now I'm here, I can't round my corners very well. I'm in college, so we have a problem. So I practice on that a lot. Cutting is also difficult because sometimes you can't cut splinting material because you have to put it in the water first. And that's always sometimes hard because obviously you can't cut it while it's like steaming hot. But it's hard to, if the splinting material is heavy, you have to hold the material and then you have to have another hand to hold the scissors, cut, and then guide the scissors with the other hand. So you kind of have to have 3 hands, which you can't do. So I thought about using an X-Acto knife, which does work. The problem is it's sometimes hard to follow a pattern because you can't make a groove into the splint material because it's like clay. So basically once you get it wet, that crease or whatever you carved into it for the pattern will end up dissolving. So we're having trouble with that. However, I am able to trace them onto the splint material. It's just a matter of getting them cut out to the right pattern. So I've just had someone help me do that. I've used my tactile drawing board for making the pattern at the beginning, and then someone else helps me cut out the pattern because basically you make a pattern and then you make another pattern that's on top of that pattern. So you make 2 patterns, but the problem is they're the same texture for me, so it makes it difficult. So we're trying to figure that one out too. So we need 2 different textures for similar patterns. So you cut the pattern out, you put the splint material in some water to soften it, and then you basically cut the pattern out of the splint material, which what I just said a second ago about the X-Acto knife, I use that to cut it. Then comes molding it, which that part's sometimes difficult, but it's it is what it is. I have trouble kind of guesstimating the degree angle. A lot of people can just do it by sight. They're like, oh yeah, that's about 30 degrees extension. And whereas I'm like, I don't know, like I assume maybe this is right, but probably not. So, I think that's just partially because I haven't ever seen measurements, so I can't just go off I don't have that mental image, but I'll get there. So basically I do that. What helps too is the professor at the beginning of the class, whatever splint we're making, she'll mold it on me. So I get to actually feel it and feel the process of it actually being molded on me. And then when she takes it off, I get to use that as a model. So it's kind of nice because I actually know what it's supposed to look like first. I'm not just going off of like, hey, figure this out, So that works. And also there are, oh my gosh, what's the word? Like made-to-order ones where the pattern's already cut out and you just have to customize it to that particular person. So that's great. Prefabricated, that's the word. They're prefabricated splint materials. So they're already prepackaged and everything. You just order it from like a company and the pattern's already cut out and you just put the straps on, customize it to the person. You're good. So that's great because that would take away the pattern and the cutting. So then the hard part, so after molding it, you have to wait till it dries, which that's easy. And then you have to either take a heat gun, which I'm not comfortable with yet. It's basically like a tiny iron, except it's extremely hot, and you don't want to get your hand close to it. So it's really hard to kind of measure that and figure out where it is. So I don't use that. I just put it back in the water to remold it if I need to. So that heat gun would basically let you heat it up some to fix your spots that you messed up on. Remold it a little bit in some areas, not the whole thing. And then you add your straps. And this part is where it gets challenging for me because I don't know how to round my edges very well. And you have to round your edges for straps. And sometimes my placement is a little crooked because I don't have an understanding of straight lines, so crookedness is my blindness. Yay. So if you ever become a patient of mine, crookedness will be probably part of the deal, but I apologize. That's part of being blind for me. So yeah, you do that, and that's how you make splints. In that class, I do have a tutor because the content is very visual based. And unfortunately, it's like knowing the muscles and tendons and nerves and what else? Like the flexors and extensors and those aren't felt on the body, unless we had like a cadaver, which would be so awesome, but they haven't given me access to that yet, so I can't do that. So I have to go by just like my imagination. And, those aren't easily felt. Like, you can't just, like, they don't make models of tendons that you can just go touch. At least not here that I can find. So I have a tutor who helps me like understand that process, because it's not really an intelligence thing on my part. It's more of a blindness thing. I don't have, like, I've never been able to see, so I don't have the image of tendons or nerves, so they have to explain it to me in a way that I get it. So I got a tutor for that class, and that's all the classes I have tutors for, just that one. And then, let's see. I'm sorry, I'm like shaking the camera. I didn't realize that. There we go. Okay, I think it's level now. Let's see, what else do I have? Oh, so we have like a note-taking class. Like, we have to learn how to take, documentate, or let me start over. We have to learn how to make medical documentation notes, and that's sometimes difficult because, just like getting that format, because sometimes Braille doesn't work. It doesn't correlate with print. So, like, for example, they use abbreviations like I with a circle, like different shapes and stuff, and I don't know how that would work with a Braille device. So if you're out there and you're an OT or OTA that's blind, who knows how to do this in Braille, like, send me something, like a comment or something on this video so I know how to contact you, because I really need help trying to figure out this Braille thing. Yeah, so there's that. So to get around that, basically for now, since we're not in clinicals yet, we don't really know, I've just been writing it as is, like I've been saying I with circle, or, I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I have to like basically explain what I need, or what's meant by specific symbols. So I don't know how that would work. Next semester we're going to be working on a documentation system on the computer. Supposedly it's accessible. We'll see about that. Because, no offense to the general public, but when they think accessible, they think of large print, color inversion, and a little bit of speech, but they don't think like totally blind, can't see the screen, So that'll be fun. Hopefully I can figure it out. They said that if we can't, they're gonna set me up with the company so I can like talk to them and be like, hey guys, like figure this out. Because I'm gonna be in like my job, in the future, and I want to have access, so like documentation systems and Braille shouldn't exclude me from having that opportunity. So yeah, excuse me. So that's how it's been so far this semester. I've made lots of friends in the class program. Beacon is doing great. We're doing better than we were at the beginning. We actually made it to campus in 13 minutes yesterday. That was awesome. She has helped me a lot with confidence-wise. I'm not so, I'm still nervous about going to different places and doing different things, but I'm not like, oh my gosh, like, what if this happens, or what if that happens? Because if I get stressed, then she gets stressed, so I can't be overly stressed. What else? I have only bought her, like I said, the long tie down with the running, so she can run around outside. And then, of course, her boots that she's been wearing for the winter, because it's been snowing here. And then, I haven't got her a cold winter jacket yet, but she doesn't need one. She has fur. If it does get too cold, I'll just get her like a sweater, because she's a Lab Retriever mix, so she's got a lot of fur, as witnessed by my hair outside the door that's like building up, because the wind blows, and as I'm grooming her, the hair just kind of blows away, and I try to collect it, but there's no point. So basically, the hair stands witness that she has lots of hair, enough to survive the winter of Indiana. What else have we bought? Oh, and then of course I've got her this bed, and it's on my bed, so she has plenty of warmth. I will get her a blanket if she wants one, but she's very chewy. Like she chewed on this bed for a while, so I had to buy those. What's that stuff called? Bitter apple spray. Yeah, it's like this spray for dogs so they won't chew on stuff. And I sprayed her bed, like soaked it in it, and she hasn't chewed on it ever since. So it's kind of nice. Because this bed's like a stuffed like pillow with a blanket around it. So if she chews on it, she could get some stuffing in her stomach and everything. So we don't want that. Yeah, so she's got a bunch of toys this semester. A lot of like dog bones and treats and Kongs. What else? Yeah, I think that's about it. Luckily, my roommates have been awesome. They've been able to take me to get her a bath. She's gotten, let's see, what was it? 2 weeks ago was her first bath here since I've been at college. So, that's kind of nice. I don't have to give her a bath every 2 or 3 months. And then I did get her a pet water bottle with a bowl on the bottom because she can't drink the water here at school because there was a boil advisory, and she got some kind of bacterial infection because she drank the water after the boil advisory. So I guess maybe it didn't clear the pipes, I don't know. So she gets bottled water. She's special. So I have bought a lot of bottled water recently. The water's kind of still brownish apparently, or cloudy here at the apartment, so I just used bottled water. So I had to buy that bottled water at Walmart. I got like the gallons, and then I got the pet water bottle from PetSmart. Holds like 3 or 4 cups, which is great because it has like a little hole so I can drink out of it, and then it has like a bowl on the bottom so I can pour water for her, and I can also use that for food. So that's awesome. Yeah, so I think that's about all. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment down below. And ask me whatever. Like, I'm pretty open about it. Blindness, OTA, dog, whatever. This is just my journey so far, and I'm only like I said, not even a full semester in yet, so we'll see. I like it so far. I wouldn't change my major for anything. So hopefully I stick with OTA and become a future occupational therapy assistant and get a good job. So again, thank you all for watching, and have a good rest of your day.